deal with airplane peanuts?
From comedians recapping some of the wildest headlines.
He was talking about Puerto Rico as a pile of garbage.
Dude, the simple fact that Obama was talking about Tony Hinchcliffe is crazy.
Bro, Obama's doing a Tony Hinchcliffe bit.
To the comics who spoke out against Tony.
Google Tony Hinchcliffe interview in the past like 4 months. It's fucking insane how out of control his ego is.
Everybody in the world seems to have an opinion on Tony Hinchcliffe.
We got a lot to talk about. It's Tony Hinchcliffe week. All Tony Hinchcliffe all week. That's all we're talking about is everyone's opinion on Tony Hinchcliffe. We're going to break it down.
And this video contains over 50 different comedians all reacting to the Tony Hinchcliffe Trump rally situation, starting off with Joe Rogan and Theo Von.
Tony was terrified.
Right when I walked in, I hadn't seen him in months. I'm just grilling him.
Bro.
I'm like, there he is. I'm like, who's an island now? That's what I said to him.
Who's an island now? Did you really say that to him?
Yeah. And here's the best thing about Tony, though. He laughed. Like, Tony is for the joke, right?
Oh, yeah.
Was it the best timing? Probably not, right?
No.
Was there a lot of supervision over him, what he said?
No.
Probably not.
We did say that they had went over his material. They didn't. Someone suggested he take one joke out. He's like, oh, what do I put in its place? He decided to go with the Puerto Rico joke. You dumbass. You got to say no to things that are outside of comedy.
Yeah.
If you're just coming up and someone says you want to go speak in front of the president, go out there. Give it your best.
Yeah.
But if you're Tony Hinchcliffe and you just did the Tom Brady roast, Kill Tony's the #1 comedy podcast in the world.
Unreal.
You have millions and millions of downloads every week. Don't do that. Just do comedy. You're really good. That's what I was trying to tell people. If you saw those same jokes on stage, he kills. It's just the worst environment ever for it. Lights are bright. It's in the day.
Yeah.
No one knows a comedian. He goes up cold. No one goes on after him. There's like his big ass pause after him. The whole thing was like organized terribly.
Yeah.
Terribly. Just
it's
complete disorganization.
I think that as a comedian, especially, the most dangerous time for you in your career is right after you've had a big success, because you get real amped up and you want to do it again as fast as you can. I think he did that roast of Tom Brady and got real high on himself. And again, I'm not going to like point you to the interviews, but like Google Tony Hinchcliffe interview in the past like 4 months. It's insane how out of control his ego is. And again, like you're a performer, you get that out of control ego, ride the wave, enjoy it. If Kamala Harris asked me to open up one of her rallies with a roast, which she would never do, ever. No one would ever ask me to do anything like that. I'm surprised that they asked Tony to do that. I think you would want to roast her opponents.
Right.
Maybe Russia, not constituents. Not people whose votes you need. Like, it was disastrous from a like of what you chose to joke about. Like, he just did a stand-up set thinking it's like the Tony Hinchcliffe show and just made everybody mad at him. I think it was a terrible venue to do stand-up in. He acted like he was just doing stand-up at Madison Square Garden, which he was not.
No one was laughing, which I thought that was what you were going to say, was he is there to, you know, in theory, make people laugh. And that wasn't really working either.
I think they were confused. They were like, why is he saying these inflammable things, whatever, that are going to like hurt our chances? I think a lot of that rally was hurting their chances. But again, it did not matter at all. Do I think it's cool to open up a Trump rally? No, I do not. Do I think it's cool to open up a Kamala rally? No, I do not. Neither of those things are cool, especially not Trump. Nothing to do with Trump is cool. And I think he did a bad job of being like, I'm going to kill with these edgy jokes. You're not there for that. You were there to roast like Minnesota, and you did not do that. You roasted Puerto Rico, who's having a hard time.
His assignment was to go be a comic and to go tell jokes. Unquestionably, people getting mad, being like, oh, it's a political rally. How can you? Shut the fuck up. The amount of comics that are coming out and piling on and trashing Tony Hinchcliffe. I mean, what are we doing, guys?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
How are you not just even if you think he bombed, even if you didn't like the jokes, how are you not celebrating it and going like, wow, dude, what a crazy moment that a comic gets invited to go and roast one of the biggest moments in like political history. This is massive. It's so
Apparently
huge.
Don Rickles did a Reagan one. I saw some.
They had somebody was doing a Kamala. George Lopez was doing the Kamala thing, and he trashed Mexicans, and nobody's making a big deal about it.
Joke.
And by the way, they do this every year or every few years at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah.
And they always come under. I think Nikki Glaser got in trouble a few years ago for certain
comedy's
things
a very big part of like American political culture in a weird way.
People always get in trouble, and people always take it too far, right? And you see these things, and when you put a comic in that environment, very often They're not murdering like they would at a comedy show because it is awkward and it's ballsy as shit to go in that environment. It's not an easy environment to do it in, right? But because it's Trump and it's so crazy heavy politicized, they're making it into a much bigger thing than it really needs to be. They are jokes. We all know they're jokes. And everyone in the world knows they're jokes.
It sucked.
Yeah, it's not funny.
It bombed. And also, like, listen, I think it'd be shocking to have a killer set at a rally. That's why you don't do comedy at rallies. The conversation becomes, oh, you're offended? Oh, but, and I go, it's also bad.
It's just that it's
bad
too.
comedy. And it's bad comedy because the views that are espoused within it are simplistic. They're hateful, but let's even put the word hateful away because then they go, oh, you're just being a lib. They're simplistic. Being racist, being anti-Semitic, being homophobic, they're so dumb and simple in like the connection that you've made. You go, well, that inferior, that bad. And because that's the complexity, the nuance of thought, no great comedy can spring from that.
Yeah.
So I go back to, and I said it online, I said, there are way better racist comedians that could have opened up this show.
Yeah.
For sure. But this is also bad comedy.
Whenever there's a comedian who's like very publicly like in trouble because like this was an offensive joke or something like that, the correct position is always to go, suck a dick, I'm on the side of the comedian, f*** everybody else. So you got Tony's the man. Tony's fucking killing. I just love everybody there. There's so many people, by the way, who, because they're not even in that world, they're like, who is Tony Hinchcliffe anyway? And you're like, he's the guy who just sold out this same arena a few weeks ago for his own show.
Make no mistake about it.
He's a faggot.
Jordan Jensen.
Did he sell
your plugs?
No, well,
Jordan.
Yeah, exactly.
Jordan, your plugs?
Well, let me just say, by the way, for Jordan saying, Jordan saying that Tony's a I just want to make it clear that what she said did not at all contradict what I said.
Oh yeah.
Both of those.
I think Tony is. I think it was weird. The whole idea of him opening for Trump and endorsing it. Comics are supposed to make fun of political people. They're not supposed to endorse them. Like Gillis dressing up as Trump is amazing, so funny. But Tony going up there and being like, "I'm gonna sleep well tonight, knowing who I'm voting for," is like, dude, shut up. Who cares?
I mean, he picked a side for sure, but I mean, like, listen, Tony's smart enough and he knows what he's doing. That like he's definitely picking like a side here, and he's like turning off half the people. But he's fine. Like he's, you know what I mean? Like in his world, I get why he would do it. I would never dream of saying yes to something like that in a million years.
It's not a.
Well, no, I agree with you.
Not because I hate Trump or love Trump.
No, politics are no offense, Dave. Politics are gay as f. I
Yeah.
completely agree.
Yeah.
Yes. However, with that being said, yeah, I wouldn't take it. I don't think they should have booked a roast comic to open up this thing. It was a bad move. But at the same time, he was just telling jokes, and I defend jokes. And he was,
the jokes. I don't even think.
No, listen. The Puerto Rico joke is a great joke.
Yeah.
All right, everybody's asking me about Tony Hinchcliffe because I'm Puerto Rican and I'm a comedian, and Tony Hinchcliffe said some stuff about Puerto Rico. Let me explain a lot of different things to you. First and foremost, as a comedian, he did what he was supposed to do. He's a roast comedian. His whole show, Kill Tony, is taking open mic comedians. They do 1 minute, and a bunch of known comedians roast those unknown comedians. That's what he does. You saw him at the Tom Brady roast. He roasts people. Okay? He went up there. He did a bunch of different roast jokes to a bunch of different ethnicities. Now, was it the right venue for comedy? No. Did the audience know they were going to get comedy? No. He was hired by some group to do a comedy set. That's what he did. First and foremost, a couple things. One, Puerto Ricans, y'all way too sensitive. First of all, he f***ed up the joke because in New York City, Tony, this is for you. I know Tony Hinchcliffe. This is for you. To make that joke in New York City, Madison Square Garden, they said there's a garbage island, whatever you said. Staten Island. That's what you should have said, Staten Island. Because everyone in New York hates Staten Island, and there used to be a famous dump on Staten Island. Boom. No more problems if you would have just said Staten Island. Or Dominican Republic would have made more sense because Puerto Ricans are American.
With a Puerto Rican person saying, hey, there are tons of garbage in Puerto Rico, like these giant heaps. Do you think Tony like researched
Those are
it
Dominicans.
And that I know. And
They
that
moved
joke
there.
actually
The islands are close. They're close islands.
very dirty.
They're dirty people.
All they do is make empanadas. They call them empanadas, as they're called. Supposedly, there really is like a big thing going on in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, yeah,
where it's
it's
kind of
still-
up.
yeah.
But I don't know if Tony like did the research, was trying to.
No, I think that's what it was.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a smart joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think he was talking specifically about that. And that was, for people to say it wasn't a smart joke, like it was a misdirection. It was a good joke. You know, it was like, what do you want me to say? Like that, it wasn't, I'm not saying every joke was great, but roast jokes in general, if you look at roast jokes for what they are, even the best roast jokes, that Tom Brady roast, if you look at the Rich Voss roast, which everyone was great on, step back from it. All the roast battles, they're kind of cheesy jokes. The reason that the guys that excel at roast battle, they're really good at that style of joke, which is something very specific. Most of the time, guys that get really good at stand-up, they don't even waste their time doing that because they're just like, no, I'm working on my real jokes that mean something to me.
Yeah. The only time the floating garbage patch in the middle of the ocean was raised was by the insult comic when he made the joke about it and said it was like Puerto Rico, and everybody flipped out about that. And my thing is, yeah, haha, but it's really a sad commentary that neither party mentions this giant problem.
Size of Texas out there and confluence of...
It's got bigger. Now it's the size of Alaska.
So is Texas.
Yeah. and everyone...
All those people moving there.
Tony is actually obsessed with the Pacific garbage patch, and like the fact that we just throw, like we were talking about, like recycling. Like recycling doesn't work; they don't do it. So there's a landfill in Puerto Rico that's way overflowed. Puerto Rico has a legitimate trash problem. They're on an island. Like, where are you going to put it, right? There's all these people living on that island. Where are you going to put it? And so they have landfills. Their landfills are way over capacity. So that's where the joke came from.
Right.
Like, the joke came from, like, Tony being environmentally conscious.
The people of Puerto Rico were never called garbage. The island has a landfill problem. The landfills are filled. The joke stems from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It is a misdirect joke.
Yeah.
You're supposed to think I'm bringing up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
We love the garbage. We love
Get
it. We love the garbage, right? This guy just crawled out of the garbage can. He's voting for me so strong. If he can wake up tomorrow, wake this guy up, right?
Tony was trying to make a joke about the garbage problem that they have in Puerto Rico. And he didn't set it up. This is one of the problems of when you take what you do outside of what you do. Supposedly there's a big garbage problem in Puerto Rico. That was big news. So he was trying to make that joke, but it didn't come off that way, and it's already gone around the world. And that's the danger, I guess, of comedy, especially mean comedy in general. Roast comedy. It's it's got to be out of roast, you know? Especially him, he goes hard. Now, the watermelon one, I think he just meant that. He was carving the watermelon. I don't know. They're roast jokes. It didn't seem to go that great in the room, but the whole speech, I don't think he bombed the whole thing. I think it was mixed reaction, and I think he'll be fine. But he did piss a lot of people off, although that was the intent, right? Was the garbage problem in Puerto Rico with no setup. I kind of understand in some way because he assumed maybe people knew about it, like the premise that people knew about it. But
setup was really light, dude.
There was no setup there. There was no setup. He just said it, but that's what he was going for. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense to just call Puerto Rico an island of garbage.
It just didn't make sense.
There was no punchline.
What there was an intended punchline, right? What was it? Puerto Rico. There's an island full of garbage or whatever, an island of garbage in the ocean right now. I believe you guys call it Puerto Rico, whatever. New Yorkers, right? Our perception of Puerto Rico is not an island of garbage. It's our first trip, an exotic Caribbean vacation. That's often our first trip. I remember going to Puerto Rico for the first time. The audience is like, garbage island? Like, no, that's not what Puerto Rico is. We like Puerto Rico. Yes. We appreciate Puerto Rico. It was almost as if he was speaking of Puerto Ricans like they were illegal immigrants, like from Mexico.
Part of America.
Exactly. So the audience responded in kind. I don't think anybody's talking about this. The audience at the Nazi rally goes, huh? What's going on? Like, they're confused. They don't like it. They're like, ooh, it just felt weird to them. But once that joke is said, everything is framed behind that joke. The joke just doesn't make sense. But Tony's hilarious, and he has hilarious jokes there.
Hey, also, Trump rally people, Google him. Why is no one Googling anyone? When I meet my friend's new boyfriend, by the time I get to the restaurant, I know who he took to prom in San Antonio in 1992. I know about his Lyme disease debacle covered in the Fort Worth Gazette. No stone goes unturned when I have someone in my life, in my house. When I interviewed Grace, dude, what did I ask you?
Are you comfortable with nudity?
I did ask you.
I understand what they were trying to do. They're like, we're cool. Here's Tony Hinchcliffe from the Tom Brady roast. But a political rally is not a roast. Most people there don't know who he is. He's not Will Smith. He's not Joe Rogan. Most people in attendance there are just like, who's this guy? And they're like, he's a comedian. They go, okay, cool. I thought he did pretty well. People are like, this is the unfunniest thing in the world. But he made this shot at Puerto Rico. I didn't know that they were a protected class, Puerto Rico. Can't take shots at Puerto Rico. But he basically went on and he said that there's a floating pile of trash in the ocean. It's called Puerto Rico. And everybody's clutching their pearls over Puerto Rico. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans in New York City. I think New York City and Florida have the largest Puerto Rican population outside of actual Puerto Rico. And Puerto Ricans can't vote. And it's bizarre for them to even get offended. Because again, I know Puerto Ricans. They seem like some of the least, offended people around. Puerto Ricans are obviously Hispanic. I know some of them are mixed race, but most of the ones I know are Hispanic. And the amount that they throw around the N-word, I don't know if it's like this outside of New York, but in New York, Puerto Ricans use the N-word an absolute gratuitous amount, okay? It is insane how much they choose to use the N-word. Like, it's not a casual thing. It's a lot. Like, you ever see, like, Tekashi 6ix9ine? All the time, okay? Nonstop with the N-word. So for them to be like, oh, we're clutching our pearls, they're mad. I don't know how, it seems hard to believe that they're this mad. Because again, if someone said to me, hey, Canada, where I'm from, famously, is a floating pile of trash or is a icy pile of trash, if Kamala Harris said that, for example, I'd be like, well, it's not. So, okay. So either you believe it is a pile of trash and that's why you're mad. But if you don't believe it's a pile of trash, which is what I think most people who are from Puerto Rico think, even though most of them leave, there's, I believe, 5-something million Puerto Ricans in the United States. And there's like 3-something that are actually on the island of Puerto Rico. So most of them do leave. Why? I don't know. I'm not going to say it's because it's a floating pile of trash. I would never make a joke like that.
Because a lot of people are Puerto Rican in New York.
Yeah, that was a very crazy statement.
Yeah, that seemed like a unique choice to me. But I don't know. I've made some poor choices, but I haven't made that one. That's for sure.
I think we've all made a poor choice.
Yeah.
Once before.
I made a ton.
The thing about all this stuff is you see the joke sliced off, and it feels weird when you see it in its totality with the other people he's made fun of or whatever. All right, fine. I don't care. Well, also, that's what comedians do.
Yeah.
And by the way, they just did the Al Smith dinner or whatever it was, and Trump just got up there and roasted the shit out of Kamala and everyone else, and it's fine.
I think there's a time and place for everything. I would encourage everybody to actually go watch the full set. Not the things they're showing on the internet, not the little parsed pieces that they're grabbing from it. Not to excuse those pieces, because if you do watch it, the whole thing, you'll be like, oh, Tony did a pretty good job of what he was doing in that. And then he had these things, which is what he does. He's a roast comedian. I don't know why you would... This doesn't make sense to me at all. Does Trump know Tony? You know what I mean? Like, because that's different. Like, if Trump is like, I love this kid, he's my favorite comedian, he's huge, and it's like, I want him to do this, and then he does this, and then Trump would just come out and be like, take a joke, you softies, or whatever he would say, because he would be full on supportive, because maybe this is Trump's favorite guy. Maybe Trump loves Kill Tony secretly, and he's like, I get that guy, okay? So that's one thing, okay? Because my first thought is like, why was he there?
And this is nothing on Tony. I love Tony. I've known Tony for years. He's still my friend. I'm not going to turn my back on Tony. But like, you can have a friend that does something bad and you can still be like, hey, man, I didn't like that one. Still love you, right? That kind of stuff happens. But anyways, so why was he there? Like, I'm with Jon Stewart. You hire a roast comedian to open up your event or be at your event. What do you think he's going to do? He's famous now for this. Millions of people watch the Tom Brady roast. This is what he does.
Come to a political rally a week before Election Day and roasting a key voting demographic. Probably not the best decision by the campaign politically. But to be fair, the guy's really just doing what he does. I mean, here he is at the Tom Brady roast a few months ago.
The great Jeff Ross, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff is so Jewish, he only watches football for the coin toss. Gronk, you look like the Nazi that kept burning himself on the ovens. Kevin is so small that when his ancestors picked cotton, they called it deadlifting.
Yes, of course. Terrible, boo, yes. There's something wrong with me. I find that guy very funny. So, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
Now, when John comes out, left-wing darling, universally trusted and respected, and he comes out and defends the comedian, that's the shield that the rest of us comedians need. Because you know the second I come out, they're going to be like, oh, you would defend that. You love racism, this, that, the other.
By the way, he had way more racist jokes at the Tom Brady roast.
But here's the thing.
You're supposed to have.
You're supposed to go in.
Yeah.
This is the thing with this, right? First of all, Tony's hilarious. Like, he is, in this set, he has some fucking great jokes. Here's the problem with this one. No. The Israel-Palestine one was great.
It was a good premise.
The execution was great. Palestinians throw the rocks, Jews are afraid to throw the paper.
You know what it was? It's one of those ones that starts off strong, but then it's like, it was just a weak ending. Like, it's like after he said the Palestine throw the rocks thing, it was just like, he could have came with something better, bro.
I thought the Palestine throw the rocks thing was the expected punchline, and then the Jews are afraid to throw the paper was the good misdirect. I liked it. Doesn't matter.
By the way, I can pinpoint where the joke started. Let's make a joke about Jews. Okay, Jews are cheap. Fighting, rock, paper, scissors, paper. The paper one came first, and he was so excited at the Trump who's ready to give Israel everything they want. This is why it was foolish to hire a comedian in the first place, because he's just like, he doesn't know Palestinian jokes. Yeah. He knows Jew jokes. Trust me, this guy is well versed in Jew jokes. And just to be clear, as we might know from my comedy, I'm not offended by a Jewish joke. Paper, and to hold it paper like a little like kind of like, that's like when an old guy goes, what up my dogs, paper, this old and so the whole thing, it doesn't make sense. You didn't say anything about the war. You didn't say throwing rocks feels like honestly like a dated kind of Palestinian joke from a long time ago that they're throwing rocks. Yeah. And then like the joke about Jews being cheap, which by the way, in terms of the war, a lot of money is getting spent, a lot of American money, a lot of Jews who have no problem with the money going to war. So it doesn't fit. It's bad comedy.
I can tell you right now, I've known Tony for 15, 16 years. Yeah. I can promise you he's not a racist. I promise you. I promise.
I don't think you need to say that.
No, but you do need to say it because there are a lot of people who don't know Tony. Trust me.
Probably not listen to this.
But I mean, just as somebody who really, we know him. We know him. We spent a lot of time with him. I could promise you that as offended as you may be by the joke, it was a joke, and he's already gone on Twitter and said, guys, it's a joke. You know, he's not a prejudice guy. He got in trouble with the Asian thing. He got in trouble.
That made him bigger.
It does also get to the fact that around election time we start talking about minorities like they're horses that we're racing.
You get to turn into a race scientist around election time. Blacks that wear flip-flops to take the trash out, they're voting for Harris at an overwhelmingly large rate.
Yeah, Trump is notoriously anti-crack cocaine, so he might lose the black vote on that one.
I think something good may come of this. Tony might be killed in the street by Puerto Rican people.
Sure.
He might be cut with like a butterfly knife, like they come in with the beginning of A Place Beyond the Pines when he has the butterfly knife.
Yeah.
They might do that to him.
Yeah, a Bali song.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what they call it in, like, I think Thailand or something.
That's you're thinking of a Beyblade.
Well, either one could kill Tony.
I said to him, I go, dude, that's the one that's going to get you stabbed.
Really?
Yes. And
Yeah.
he used to talk about it on stage, saying, Joe Rogan always says, that's the one that's going to get me stabbed. Like, wow. Which is so crazy.
Do you have any jokes about Puerto Ricans? Because they seem very
She does.
angry.
She
right
does,
now.
actually.
That's my favorite joke.
Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. Plenty.
There's just one joke, I think.
Oh, boy.
I love how angry people are using Tony as a flashpoint for politics.
I know. It's all.
It would be crazy if Trump loses the election because of Tony.
If Trump didn't win, we were going to have to hide him.
For real.
Yeah, I was going to hide him. I was going to move him to Thailand or something.
To Thailand?
Yeah, he's got to get out of the United States for a
For
while.
how long, though?
A while, depending on how bad sideways things go. If Kamala Harris becomes president, the deep state take over and they completely censor all social media, remove everybody's guns, force vaccinations on all your babies, everybody gets a sex change. Who knows?
He's just in Thailand.
And he's in Thailand.
With ladyboys.
Just drinking his life away because he can't believe he f***ed it up for one shitty laugh.
If it concluded with kill Tony, losing it for Trump, I think that narratively that would have felt like a full circle moment.
Because the results came in and so Trump's the winner, and then Tony was probably like, "Yeah, I did have a good set." He was like, I didn't bomb. I didn't bomb. That's probably his genuine reaction.
You guys.
Tony having thrown the election would have been so funny, though.
It would have been amazing.
That kids in 50 years having to read a history book and learn about
they're not
Tony Hinchcliffe.
Tony's lucky Trump won just because he was going to get killed. We have the same agent, and my agent said he got about 20 death threats from Trump people. If he loses this race because of your fucking twink client, we're coming after you there, Jewface.
That's hilarious and
I know.
stupid.
I know. He was laughing about it, but that's where we're at, folks.
Yeah, well, Tony, I think he's dead on the inside because I think people were like, "Are you doing okay?" And he was like, "What?"
Oh, really?
I think he's like, "I don't even give a shit."
Wow.
I think he's a tough cookie.
Yeah, that affected me, and I wasn't even there.
No, I think he's like, I don't care. I think he added a lot of followers and blew up. It doesn't. The more you try to cancel somebody now, the better they do.
Right.
The way these news organizations work, they have outlines for stories. If Kamala wins, they have outlines for stories if Trump wins. If Trump lost, they were going to blame it on Tony. They had stories where they're going to blame it on that joke, and they were going to say that joke turned the tides and made people realize the Trump organization's filled with Nazis and racists, and they were going to blame Tony, and Tony would have been because then the Trump supporters would have thought that too.
Right, so it was like both sides would have disliked Tony.
Absolutely.
He would have to go to Puerto Rico or Costa Rica.
Maybe.
Yeah, it would be great if he's like a huge. He's in history books one day.
Yeah,
the Hinchcliffe swing.
It was bizarre.
I get that they're jokes, but at a certain point you are like, well, you're at the rally.
It's pretty lame and corny to promote a politician, regardless of it being Trump.
Of who it is. Yeah.
We make fun of all the celebrities for going to the Harris events.
If Gaffigan is performing at a Harris event, you're like, well, that's
gay.
And you're a pedophile probably.
Yeah.
Let's pretend we don't know enough to know that none of this matters at all.
Sure.
And that if you associate with these people, you're either a pedophile or a cannibal or some sort of satanic mind control freak or some useless pawn in the game that they're all playing. And by the way, if you're falling for any of this hysteria right now, you're a huge loser. And the reason you're falling for it is because you have nothing going on in your life that matters at all. And if you're upset about it, you might examine the fact that you're incredibly unlikable. No one really likes hanging out with you, and this is all you have. If you didn't have your opinion, you would actually have nothing. Think about that for a second. If I took away your right to have an opinion, you would literally have nothing. No one to talk. No one would. You have to engage with strangers on the internet because no one talks to you within your own life.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second.
Your opinion is just your brain's shit.
Yes, you log on to shit out of your ass.
It's head
your
shit.
precious eggs, your precious brown eggs going in the online toilet.
Are you presenting your head shit?
Congrats.
None of it's real.
Yeah,
not one Puerto Rican vote has been flipped from
Trump to Kamala Harris. No one gives a shit.
Not true.
Yes, no, it is a fact that literally there is not.
I know Puerto Ricans.
All right, well then you know what? That is a bigger insult to Puerto Ricans than anything Tony Hinchcliffe said. If that actually changed their fucking vote.
Dave, everyone calm him down. Dave, it's okay. Politics gets him heated.
Sorry.
Calm down,
hands. Dave. Sorry, guys. Olive oil's gone. Dave Smith is back.
I do not think that Tony should have held back on racist jokes. Obviously, he was there. That's what he's going to do. I just think it's weird that Tony opened for Trump at the MSG.
what's weird.
That's what's weird. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that. To me, it's not weird that he took the job. I do think all of us would have been like, wait, what? He can do the jokes. The watermelon thing was not funny. That's all it is. Yeah, it's racist, whatever. The Puerto Rican island of garbage, that's a funny joke. If you agree with it or not, structurally, it's a very funny joke with great delivery.
We can sit here, all of us as comedians can break down which one's funny, which one's not funny. It's sort of subjective, right?
A lot of us agree.
The point is that we're just defending the idea of doing fucking roast jokes, and that's why they booked him. They booked Tony Hinchcliffe not to have political ideology. They booked him to roast the crowd or roast the country or roast whoever, and that's what he did. It was stupid to book him on their end, but really, that's really the problem.
Biden, who also put on a MAGA hat and then also just called Trump supporters garbage, even though they kind of booed and groaned. They didn't boo, but they groaned at Tony's jokes. Yeah, Biden called those people garbage, just like Hillary called them deplorables. So right-wing media is running with that. That may negate what happened at the Garden. Who knows? But it is still good to know that everyone is talking about policy. So who knows?
The hinge pin, dude.
The hinge pin got loose, and then
Master General.
And then Joe Biden gets on, responds on a Zoom call. Like he's like, the camera's like up here. He's like, "Yeah, well, they're fucking garbage, dude."
I think before that, he was literally out to get ice cream. He crushed ice cream.
He was in Baltimore eating ice cream.
Crushed ice cream, went on Zoom. Was like, you know what? Fuck that. Trump supporters.
I mean, to be fair, to like jump into his world for a second, imagine just like, you get the presidency taken away from you, just munch a triple scoop, and you just fully send it in and be like, Trump fucking sucks, and reporters are dumb fucking idiots.
I can't get Hinchcliffe off the brain, dude.
Bro.
That's all I think about. All day. It makes me laugh.
It's the funniest thing ever.
It's the funniest thing that's happened.
If Trump loses,
it's
the ultimate.
And it is Tony's fault. And because of that, World War III does take place. Tony Hinchcliffe is Archduke Franz Ferdinand. He is. People are going to look back and go, why did this happen?
Dude, I'm going to be holding my whole family, and I'm going to see the blast radius before we go out in a hot flash. I'm going to go, an island of garbage?
You can see the blast radius, and you're going to go, unbelievable. Just go into dust, dude.
Yeah, arguments online about that.
I'm going to be holding my kids and be like, actually, it was kind of bullshit. He actually kind of crushed it on you.
It actually was funny.
It's hard to do that
It was 11 a.m., dude. That was pretty tough. He was probably nervous and just went back to material. Who cares? Bro, I saw a Kamala Harris commercial with Tony Hinchcliffe in the beginning of it in like black and white.
Yeah,
they hit him with the black and white.
Oh my God.
Bro, it's so good.
I mean, what would you have done, Dad, on that stage? If you got on the mic at the MSG rally for Trump, what would you have said? What would you have popped off with?
Well, since I got kicked off Facebook yesterday.
My dad got kicked off Facebook yesterday in the waiting room at the Knicks game.
I would have said, this man is a pig.
Yeah.
He's a thief. Never tells the truth about anything. But I'm still voting for him.
That's it.
Trump came out and was like, I don't even know this guy.
I don't even know.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know him.
Don't
He
even know that
sucks.
guy.
He's awful.
They called him the Golden Pony. But I've never heard of him.
I've never heard of him. I said, who booked him? Why would they book him? I wouldn't book him. I wouldn't book this guy ever again.
Vinny Guadagnino's here. Look at him. Unbelievable. Love the Jersey Shore. Such a great guy.
But this Tony guy, I don't know. We can move on from it. I don't agree with him.
Very bad.
I think we should all be Trump. I got one Trump win.
I'm wasting my time defending Tony when Trump just throws him right under the bus.
Yeah, frankly, I think Lewis is a moron. He's not even a real Puerto Rican. He's not. He's a traitor.
Peter Navarro, who was who worked for Trump at one point, I believe he was a White House aide or something, said he is the stupidest a-hole to come down the comedy pipeline. A lot of people online agree with that. Here's the thing, though, and here's how it's going to work. Tony will be fine. He's got a show at the Mothership sold out immediately after all of this. In the world that he travels in, this is going to largely be seen as a positive. I know that's, if you already agree with him, then you're already there. But if you're outside of it, you're like, how is that possible? The entire media is talking about what an idiot is. The Trump campaign is throwing him under the bus. All of Puerto Rico hates him.
Did you see when Tony went on stage last night?
No.
Bro.
At the Mothership?
Bro.
Oh,
It's like
dude,
Richard
I'm sure.
Pryor showed up.
Do you have video of the opening?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
that's
bananas.
awesome, dude.
They go nuts.
Yeah.
Tony now has 35 minutes on the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
35
dude, that's
minutes
great.
on Puerto Rico and this whole thing. People at
Oh, is he going up tonight?
Oh yeah, I'll probably be up tonight.
I want to go watch that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd love to go watch
Bro.
that. The best thing in comedy is like when there's like a huge thing. There's just something about like when they got new, fresh stuff on the thing that just happened is just the best part of stand-up.
And then also now how big Tony is, because Tony just, we haven't seen it yet because it just happened. Like the election was just last night.
I saw it
and
last
the
night
thing-
when they brought him up in bottom of the barrel.
It's different. It's different.
He got a
different.
standing ovation coming to the. I'm like,
Yeah,
he's a superstar now.
Oh yeah, he's a household name. And now everyone, it went from people being like, "Oh, that's the Kill Tony guy," which I mean, everybody in the world would be like, "That's the Kill Tony guy," to now everyone in the world is like, "That's Tony Hinchcliffe."
It's just so weird too because like he's doing the comedy for the people in that room, and also it's being viewed after that or live to people that aren't in that room that hate. So it's kind of for them too. Look, dude, the dude's been on vacation in Puerto Rico. He doesn't think Puerto Rico's a bunch of garbage. He likes Puerto Rico. He's just making a joke. He also has to be responsible for everything that everyone else thinks. You know what I'm saying? It's a weird, tricky game, dude. We're all sick of certain stereotypes and shit. And like, he said the thing about Hispanics don't pull out and come inside just like they do to our country, which is obviously a joke. It's written like a joke. And, if you don't think that's funny and you take offense to that, then it's just like, I don't know, maybe that's on you. Like, you're perpetuating a stereotype is what their argument is. So then, I don't know. It's not his, it seems like to me like it's not his fault. It'd be one thing if he was up there saying, fuck these people, fuck that people.
My lady called me a bigot the other day.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know what the f that mean, bitch. Be smarter, dumbass. Stupid, bitch. Use better words, stupid.
What did you do to make her call you a bigot?
What did you do to make her call you a bigot? I've been fighting for you all week. I have no idea. Been fighting hard as shit. That my brother, leave me alone, pussy.
Don't fight. Rope-a-dope. Just let them wear themselves out.
They had a comedian at a MAGA rally, and it did not go well. He told a bunch of racist jokes at 11 in the morning, and he bombed pretty bad. But it's Tony Hinchcliffe. I mean, that's what he does. He's like a roast comedian. He tells mean jokes barely, So, like, that's his whole thing. But you don't bring that guy to a political rally. That doesn't make sense. That's like asking Hulk Hogan to come over and telling him not to rip his shirt off. It's like, that's what he does. Barely.
When you go and do this rally, first of all, I think you're a piece of shit. Number one, for your views. And then number two, I go, you're not a comedian. You're a politician. Go be a fucking politician and get the fuck out of comedy clubs. And you suck. You suck, dude. You fucking suck. I don't know what else to say. You're an embarrassment. Kayla put it really well, just in terms of like when you lack talent, which, by the way, it hurts. I have certain things that I wanted in my life that I lack the talent to have.
Yeah.
If there was a way that because I lack the talent to be a singer, that like if I was more racist, I could have a Broadway career, I might be at the Trump rally too, singing the national anthem. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, last night I gave a speech. I don't know if you've heard about this. It was a speech about free speech, believe it or not. And I'm currently under attack. I'm the news. I don't know if you guys know this, but on my speech on free speech, I referenced Puerto Rico, which currently has a landfill problem in which all of their landfills are filled to the brim. I guess I'm the only person that knew about this, unfortunately. With that said, I just want to say that I love Puerto Ricans. They're very smart people, and they're smart enough to know when they're being used as political fodder. I apologize to absolutely nobody. not to the Puerto Ricans, not to the whites, not to the blacks, not to the Palestinians, not to the Jews, and not to my own mother, who I made fun of during the set. Nobody clipped that. No headlines about me making fun of my own mother. Perhaps that venue at that time wasn't the best place to do this set at. But in any matter, to the mainstream media and to everybody trying to slander me online, that's what I do. I go hard, and that's never going to change. Who's ready for the best fucking night of their lives? Fuck yes! Make some noise for Brian Redband, ladies and gentlemen. Hola!
This video included all of the most popular podcast clips, but there were hundreds of more reactions online from comedians across social media, with the most notable written statements coming from Mark Maron and Ari Shaffir, taking opposite sides of the debate. Those type of reactions from comedians, as well as the many celebrities and politicians who threw in their 2 cents on Tony Hinchcliffe, can all be found in the recap video we made a few days after the incident happened, which can be found on the end screen right after this last clip from Kill Tony 692.
Tell me a little bit more about Puerto Rico. Was there any other highlights? Did the gig go good? What exactly did they pay you to do?
They
Red Band. Oh fuck. For the love of God. Oh my God. Just give it a little bit of time. A couple more weeks.
Nobody heard the joke. They don't even have electricity there.
Well, now they're gonna rewind it. Okay. No, don't hide.
Money.
Don't hide now.
Oh my God.
The electricity did go out like 3 times.
Okay, this. Can you say anything else about fucking all of Puerto Rico?
It didn't smell like garbage.
Okay, all right, that's it. This interview's over. What kind of childhood trauma did you go through?
Well, I am a child of divorce. My family's Puerto Rican, and
This episode's canceled.
Say no more.
So, Puerto Rican family, what was that like? Hey, we got Tony killed. Great, fucking awesome. Remember that show? Remember when there used to be a show every Monday? Ha 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 ha. Now that guy's dead. Ha 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 ha. You fucking traitors, all of you.
Be sure to subscribe to Joke World for all your comedy needs right now, from compilations like this one to weekly news shows dedicated to all your favorite comics. If you're new here, it's kind of like SportsCenter but for stand-up comedy, so we're gonna keep you in the loop with all of your favorite comedians, everything happening in the comedy world. And as always, if you're interested in some free Joke World stickers or just some more exclusive bonus content, check out the links in the description below. Thanks for watching.
At Joke World. That's it, at Joke World.
And the world is WRLD.
That's a great YouTube channel, Joke World. Check it out.